Good evening, good evening, good evening. The poem I'm going to perform for you all today is called The Whole Black Life. And you can guess by the title, it's going to be depicting the sophisticated relationship black people in America have with police. As I perform this poem, I perform it with a lot of passion and certain diction. I ask that as I'm performing it, you listen to what the message is as I perform it. Without further ado, The Whole Black Life. I would also like to add, there's been a string of police brutality in cases we know since the Trayvon Martin shooting. And as someone who was in high school and college from that event onward, I'm telling this from the perspective of a young black male while all this was happening. So without further ado, The Whole Black Life. If I say that Black lives mattered, could you tell me that I'm lying? Some people like to negate this by bringing up black on black crime, but see, now it's scientifically and sociologically proven that birds of a feather really do flock together. So tell me, who do I rob if I'm a poor black man looking to do better? Of course, the people around me. See, politics and politics mixed with government and money spent creates a system when there's nothing but poverty that surrounds me. So if I'm the black man, surrounded by poverty for generations, for years on end, I create economic trends to meet my ends, so I start trapping. And I start thugging. I go to the underworld to make the money come in, and that's where the media comes into play. This freak show, TV show, has all the criminals on display. You know, the people who commit crimes are actually the minority of this minority. But we all look the same to the authorities. Police pull me over, I'm not a thug. I try to tell them that there's more to me, but nah, I don't get the benefit of the doubt. Instead, I get a slug in my back and a hand across my mouth. Before you know it, I'm in a fight for my life before they read me my rights. Is this the pinnacle of black life? It's been reduced to a hashtag in a movement half the public don't understand. And why should it take cops and cameras for you to realize, hey, I want to be treated like a man? Listen, Black lives matter. I dare somebody to tell me that's not true. And you can see how government, economics, and television news has your vision misconstrued to protect and to serve, but I ain't never been lied to the way I just did. And how can I believe this when police out here shooting unarmed kids? Now, I know the job's stressful, and every cop ain't bad. Believe me, and every man ain't good. But why do we have more blacks in prison when there's more cops in the hood? I mean, shouldn't it be safer? The justice system is unequivocally one of the worst systems of the systems, and we know it. It's in need of remodeling, but what do we have to show for it? A bunch of dead bodies and manipulated statistics. They say children in urban areas do 100% more crimes than the rich kids, then label us as ignorant. There is more black kids graduating college than there's ever been. Between the truth and what we hear, there seems to be some dissonance. I can still spot the difference. Public, let me ask this. Why don't they patrol the suburbs where the rich white folks stay? And this would be too much to explain, and since I don't have a decade, we know all lives matter. That's a fact, not a movement. Black Lives Matter came about just to prove this. Black dude walking home, cop says, hey, what are you doing? Back up, we have a type 5. Hey, what are you doing? I'm walking home, officer. Well, I need you to stop moving. He yells, hands behind your back, and the victim begins to move him. Pow. Pow. Yo, officer, why did you do this? And he doesn't truly know. I mean, he doesn't really understand it. The officer begins to panic. He's only operating on the notion of what society had him branded. See, some police, and I'll admit, some police act a fool when them body cams ain't candid, which explains why people shoot now with guns and with cameras, with automatics and with cannons, Nikons, 38s, and the rest. The condition of the black man is handcuffed and in cardiac arrest. They quick to label Black Lives Matter as a bunch of terrorists, #1 on the media's hit list, maybe because they raise awareness and a fist. You know, they're actually really closer to pacifists. And people who shoot cops on behalf of Black Lives Matter claim the name and make the purpose hard to explain. We want respect for our lives, and hear me, we want nobody slain. I mean, but who can you blame? They lash out in anger as a result of their pain, and it seems like 1 in every 500 cops get convicted. And we want justice, period, in the sentence. I mean, we got brothers doing 20 years for non-violent offenses. We still marching for freedom, now we facing offenses. Undercover racists resort to petty defenses. If your only rebuttal is, well, all lives matter, it translates to, please excuse these modern day lynches. Now, to be honest, I don't believe the justice problem will ever be solved because it's just the symptoms, the after effect of a much bigger, more personal issue. See, black culture and black economics, to be honest, has to change before we see any change. Black people have to be aware where we putting our change before they free us from change. You know, most of us ain't on welfare. And the same goes for World Star, though it seems to be the norm perpetuated by a few world stars who prostitute for labels and sacrifice black art, even though it's a fraction, a small part, only a percentage that gets blown up and then characterized by media image. Herein lies the problem, and I'll be short. Black people in America in general are poor. So some of us resort life to a 9 to 5 crime. We get caught up, we get arrested, and this gets put on TV all the time. So if I'm little Bobby, growing up white, and I see the violence, the struggle, and the black man's plight, I mean, this is all I see. So when I grow up and become a cop, what am I supposed to believe, especially when I see dreads in a car 4 deep? See, now I'm automatically looking for weed. And plus, I won't accept anything lesser than a yes sir and you on your knees. Black dude driving says, dang, this always happens to us. This always happens to me. More frustrated than surprised, he reacts quote unquote violently. Now in truth, he was rude. Probably respectful with a little attitude, but see now I'll snap. Little Bobby has to defend his pride. This little Negro is staring me in my eyes. Bobby, you know how them thugs are. Hands up, get out the car. Some stuff goes down, the usual. The officer felt in danger. The driver was resisting arrest. This could have been avoided if he did what he said. Oh, let's add a mugshot and a rap sheet to make things sweet. We see this every week. It's like a record on repeat. Oh, and it's going to be on TV. But we're going to capitalize the mugshot, not the fact that he got shot for a routine traffic stop. And little Bobby gets paid off. Instead of getting laid off, congratulations, we've now come full circle. The man left his car in a body bag, then becomes the nation's trending hashtag, and both blacks and whites ask each other, man, why do they act like that? Listen, Black Lives Matter in every aspect. From our minds to our checks, from our knowledge to our wallets, from the blacks that start trends to the ones that claim conscience, from the black family to entertainment, our home lives, black media, our voices, our songs, our sorrow, our pain, hell, and even our laughter. But if it's one thing that we must remember, is that the whole black life matters. Thank you.